Ukrainian military specialists have started to shoot down Iranian drones en masse in the countries of the Persian Gulf. The military didn't just arrive in the Middle East, but have already delivered the first results in protecting the Gulf monarchies. Overall, the Ukrainian defense industry has become a top topic in the world media today. The fact is that the war with Iran has shown the full danger of Shahed drones and the importance of protection against them, and it is Ukraine that has the solution to this problem. And in this episode, I will tell you everything that is known about the technologies and interceptor drones that the Ukrainian armed forces are already using in the Middle East. But we will also discuss an interesting article from the Times in which Ukrainian officers commented for the first time on the organization of air defense in the Persian Gulf countries. And all Ukrainian specialists admit that they were shocked that no one, especially the United States of America, has learned any lessons or drawn any conclusions from the war in Ukraine. Although Ukrainian military personnel shared their experiences and developments with allies throughout the war, it turns out this information was completely ignored. And the US and its allies are still conducting the war according to standards from about a decade ago. For example, they don't even change the positions of their air defense batteries, or shooting down their own planes 3 times. Just 3 planes at a time, simply because no one is controlling the Patriot launch system while it's operating. It just automatically shoots down planes, but that's not all. We'll figure all this out in this episode. I'm Alexei Pecci. Let's discuss this together. But before we start, I want to ask you to support the work of this YouTube channel financially with your donation or a channel membership or sponsorship right here on the YouTube platform. Under this video, you need to click the join button, or you can use the QR code on your screens. This is actually the most convenient way to make a one-time donation. I will be grateful for any support you can give, but you can do this at the end of this episode. And also subscribe to my Telegram channel, Peachy News. The link is in the description. There we post breaking news as soon as it comes in. So, most Western media are now reporting that representatives of the armed forces of Ukraine, along with interceptor drones and electronic warfare systems, are already operating in the Persian Gulf countries and are already successfully shooting down Iranian drones. That's why the topic of Ukrainian interceptor drones is now the #1 issue for the countries in the region. Well, I paid attention to an article in the Times magazine where Ukrainian officers who have just arrived there to work gave their first comments about organizing air defense in the Persian Gulf countries. That is, these are the very soldiers who went to the Middle East from Ukraine, and they say they are simply shocked by how the United States of America and its allies are conducting the war. Ukraine has consistently shared its war experience with allies throughout the conflict with Russia. Well, for example, as the publication writes, Ukrainians were shocked by the incident with 3 F-15 planes that were shot down by friendly fire in the sky over Kuwait on March 1st. Well, as Ukrainian officers say, of course, no one is immune from fatal mistakes during air defense operations. Unfortunately, Ukraine also suffered losses. An F-16 was lost due to a malfunction of the Patriot system in August 2024. In Russia, incidents of firing on their own aircraft happen quite regularly. You don't have to look far for examples. On March 20th, Russian air defense shot down a light aircraft, mistaking it for a Ukrainian UAV, but destroying 3 Allied aircraft at once, as happened in Kuwait, clearly points to negligence. And now Ukrainian soldiers have said that the problem is related to the approach to work. During an enemy raid, operators from the Persian Gulf countries leave the air defense batteries and go to shelters, leaving these Patriot batteries to operate in automatic mode. That is, when the first F-15 was shot down, no one even realized it, and the system in automatic mode kept firing at their own planes. And as the military say, if there hadn't been just 3 planes, but for example 10, these Patriot batteries would have shot them all down. They shot down 3 because only 3 were flying, all in automatic mode. No one monitored the system malfunction since the operators were in the shelter. And Ukrainian fighters say that during an enemy raid, they still stay at their positions by the Patriot battery. Of course, it's dangerous, but the thing is, in Ukraine, Patriots mainly work against ballistic missiles. There, missile interception often occurs just fractions of a second before impact. Here's what the Times writes, quote, Since the Ukrainians got their first Patriot, which was in the spring of 2023, their crews have been sharing data about its use with the Americans. It seems that the US and the Gulf countries didn't pay any attention to this data, which significantly increased the missile interception rate. "I don't understand what they were doing or where they were looking for these 4 years while we fought," said the Ukrainian officer. A lot has been said about the use of expensive and scarce missiles for the Patriot system. Ukrainians can confirm several such incidents. Once, an unnamed Gulf country fired 8 Patriot missiles at a single Iranian Shahed drone. This is a disaster because Lockheed Martin produces only up to 850 Patriot Interceptor missiles per year. There have also been cases when a $6 million SM-6 ship-launched missile was fired at a Shahed drone. In addition, as the publication writes, Ukrainians were shocked that the Americans do not move their radars at all. On March 8, Shaheds, once again Shahed drones, hit a mobile radar of the THAAD missile defense system worth $300 million. As it turned out, the radar was clearly visible on satellite images even before the attack, and it wasn't even camouflaged. But that's not all, because next they'll quote what one of the Ukrainian officers working there says. Quote, "The radar stood in the same place for 2 months, then the Shaheds started flying. 3 Shaheds, each costing $70,000, and that's it, the radar is gone." Let me remind you that amid all this, Trump claims he doesn't need Ukraine's help. He says they don't need your drone interceptors and will handle it themselves. Well, of course, if you launch 8 PAC-3 missiles from a Patriot to shoot down 1 Shahed, you're really handling it well. But nevertheless, the Ukrainian defense industry has become a top topic in the world media. The thing is, the war with Iran has shown the full danger of Shahed drones and the importance of protection against them, and it's Ukraine that has the solution to this problem. Interceptor drones costing a few $1,000s each. As the BBC writes, this particular military product from Ukraine is currently the most in demand in the world because of the war in the Persian Gulf. Ukrainian authorities reported that Ukraine has already received requests to supply interceptor drones from 11 countries and has sent several groups of its military operators with interceptors, totaling about 230 soldiers to assist. And now I'll quote the BBC. The manufacturers interviewed by the BBC said they had received dozens of commercial offers from countries in the Persian Gulf and the Middle East, as well as from intermediaries. All of them are interested in the export of tens of thousands of Ukrainian interceptors to the Middle East region. Moreover, they are ready to buy them at a higher price than on the Ukrainian market. Some manufacturers refused to continue negotiations, citing a letter from the SBU sent by the company in early March, which mentioned a ban on exporting weapons to the Middle East, and about possible criminal prosecution for violating this order. But it's important to remember that at the beginning, or rather at the end of last year, several major manufacturers in Ukraine launched the mass production of so-called anti-Shaheds. The most effective type of such drone has become the multi-rotor, rocket-shaped type of this UAV. The point is that this kind of drone is much easier to launch, unlike a fixed-wing drone. How does the Ukrainian Interceptor drone work? They take off and land. These drones do it vertically on their tail section. They can be launched in just a minute and don't need a catapult or a special launch pad. This allows the operator, who spots a hostile drone in the sky like a Shahed, to instantly prepare and launch an interceptor drone. In the sky, this drone can fly for tens of minutes at a cruising speed of 180 km per hour, searching for that very Shahed and choosing a trajectory for attack. After spotting the Shahed, the interceptor drone accelerates to 300 km per hour, catches up with the drone, and detonates near its wing or nose section. At the same time, the interceptor itself carries a small amount of explosives, roughly ranging from 500 to 800 grams. The operator controls the drone in FPV mode, that is, through special virtual reality goggles. At the same time, most Ukrainian manufacturers are already working on integrating systems into their interceptors that will allow drones to automatically identify a target in the sky, track it, and attack without operator involvement. What are the well-known and popular models of such interceptor drones currently available in Ukraine? The most effective is considered to be the Sting anti-aircraft drone from Wild Hornets, which in its basic configuration costs just over $1,000 and has a warhead with 500 grams of explosives flying at a speed of 300. The Interceptor is used in combat within a radius of 25 kilometers and can stay in the air for up to 20 minutes. Another interceptor that ranks at the top in terms of effectiveness is the P-1 Sun from Skyfall. This manufacturer was previously best known for its small Shrike quadcopters and the Vampire night bombers. At the front, these bombers were nicknamed Baba Yaga. Interestingly, this company is already in negotiations to establish its own factory in Denmark with the support of the Danish government. And of course, General Chereshnya. This manufacturer has been developing a line of interceptor quadcopters for a long time, which until recently were known more for their work against enemy reconnaissance drones rather than Shaheds. However, in November of last year, the company announced that it had launched serial production of the interceptor General Chereshnya, built according to this rocket-like design. In December, after approval by Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, it began to be procured for the defense forces. According to the manufacturer's information, the drone accelerates up to 310 km per hour, rises to an altitude of up to 6 km, and can stay in the air for up to 25 minutes. Its cost ranges from $1,500 to $2,000. It is also worth mentioning the Octopus Interceptor. It is developed and produced according to a unique design. The fact is that this interceptor was created by specialists from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine in cooperation with experts from the United Kingdom. 14 Ukrainian companies have already received a license to manufacture the Octopus. Some have already started mass producing this drone. In addition, it is also produced separately in the United Kingdom and then delivered to Ukraine. In November 2025, delegations from the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, and Britain signed a licensing agreement for this interceptor drone, paving the way for its production in Britain. And it was mentioned that the production volumes could reach several thousand of these interceptor drones per month. Overall, technology is advancing. I'm sure that a lot of information is still hidden from the public. And when Donald Trump says that he doesn't need any help, he's being very deceptive, because in fact, Ukrainian military specialists with these interceptor drones I mentioned are already working in the Middle East. I'll leave it at that. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like. And let me remind you that I would appreciate any support for the work of this YouTube channel. All the links and details on how to do this are in the description of this video. That's all for now. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye, everyone.